It doesn't matter what the press says. It doesn't matter what the politician or the mob say. It doesn't matter if the whole country decides something wrong is something right. This nation was founded on one principle above all else: the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the odds or the consequences. When the mob, the press, and the whole world tell you to move, it's your job to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank y'all for joining me for this Bible study tonight. We're going to be talking all about the rapture. Now, what is the rapture? The rapture is the Greek word harpazo. That's where we get our word rapture from. The Greek word harpazo, to mean caught up, to be snatched up, to be grabbed hastily, to be overpowered or overcame, to be plundered. There are 5 instances in the New Testament where this word is used. Once in Matthew, when he's explaining the parable of the sower. And when someone hears the word of the kingdom but does not understand it, the wicked one comes and snatches it away. It's used in Acts when Philip had just baptized the eunuch, and then the Spirit of the Lord snatched him away, and they found him in a village many miles away. Paul uses it twice in 1 Corinthians, I think. That's where he's talking about 2 men that he knew who were caught up by God. Then in 1 Thessalonians 4:17, that's when it talks about when those of us who are alive and remain will be caught up into the air to meet those in the clouds to be with the Lord. Just a side note, those who we meet up in the air are the risen dead. Okay, this is what we're talking about. Now, and then you have in Revelations, I think it's in Revelations 12:5, and that is universally pretty much understood as Jesus' ascension to heaven. Then we get to the how. The how is like lightning in a moment, the twinkling of an eye. It's never been done before in recorded history, so it's going to be interesting to see, other than those 5 times that we talked about, those kind. The where is in the air, okay? We already talked about that. The why is to escape God's wrath. We will get more into that. The when we talked about on the last video. No one knows. But we've been given markers to know the seasons and the time, as in the days of Noah. We talked about that last time. This time I want to talk about the who. Jesus and his elect. And today, guys, if y'all would just bear with me, I want to do a fair bit of reading and let the story speak for itself. Because if you're going to know Jesus, and you know Jesus is the one who comes back to get his elect, here's a good illustration from John 13, so you can understand and get a really good perspective of who we're talking about. I know some of y'all may have known him from the miracles and stuff like that, but he had disciples who hung out with him and seen all the miracles he done, heard all the wisdom he spoke. And this is what he's telling them at the Passover. So just to really get some context, this is the feast where he's going to die. Okay, and this is John 13. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he would depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. Okay. And supper being ended, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things to his hand, and that he had come from God and was going to God, arose from supper, laid aside his garments, took a towel, girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the disciples. Guys, y'all realize he just knew that he was being made king of the kingdom, and he lowered himself all the way down to what was essentially the job of the lowest slave. Just making sure y'all get who we're talking about. Now, I also want to point out in this that it was in response, because in Luke 12:24, Matthew 18:1 and 10, 20 through 28, and Mark 10:35-45, Matthew 18:1-8, and it goes on. Jesus is constantly telling them not to compete. They all want to know who the greatest in the kingdom of heaven is. This is not the question you should be asking. So when he gets to Simon Peter said to him, Lord, are you washing my feet? And Jesus answered and said to him, what I am doing you do not understand now, but you will know after this. And Peter said to him, you shall not wash my feet. Basically, how are you going to get Jesus to wash your feet? More especially someone like Peter, who runs his mouth all the time. Sort of sound familiar? Jesus answered him, if I do not wash you, you have no part with me. So Simon Peter, being the person he is, said, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. He means get me really clean, because God knows I need it. And Jesus said to him, he who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean, and you are clean, but not all of you. For he knew who would betray him, therefore he said, you are not all clean. So when he had washed their feet and taken his garments and sat back down, he said to them, do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say it well, for so I am. If then I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should also wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor he who is sent greater than he who has sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. I do not speak concerning of all of you. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled, he who eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. Now I tell you before it comes that, listen to this, really getting this. Now I tell you before it comes that when it comes to pass, you may believe that I am he. Most assuredly, I tell you, he who receives whomever I send receives me, and he who receives me receives him who has sent me. You get that, right? He's not only that, he knows somebody's fixing to betray him. Not only does he know somebody's fixing to betray him, he still washes all their feet, including the person who's going to betray him. Talk about a boss move. When Jesus had said these things, he was troubled in his spirit and testified and said, most assuredly, I say to you, one of you will betray me. Then the disciples looked at one another, perplexed about whom he spoke. Now there was leaning on Jesus beside him, and the one whom Jesus loved. Simon Peter therefore mentioned to him to ask who it was whom he spoke. Then leaning back on Jesus, he said to him, Lord, who is it? And Jesus answered, it is he whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it. He goes on, and having dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas, the son of Simon. Now after the piece of bread, Satan entered into him, and Jesus said to him, whatever you're going to do it quickly. I know you. I know what you're doing. Just go do it quickly. But no one at the table knew for what reason he said this to him. For some thought because Judas had the money box, that Jesus had said to him, buy those things we need for the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. Having received the piece of bread, then he went out immediately, and it was night. And when he had gone out, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself and glorify him immediately." Now listen to this. This is very important in what we're talking about. "Little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me, and as I have said to the Jews, where I am going you cannot come. So now I say to you, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Then Simon Peter speaks up again, going, "Lord, where are you going?" And Jesus answered him, "Where I am going you cannot follow me, but you shall follow me afterwards." Then Peter, being Peter, jumps up and says, "Lord, why can I not follow you? I will lay down my life for your sake." Yeah, even Jesus sort of giggled at him with that and said, "You will lay down your life for me, for my sake? Most assuredly, I say to you, the rooster shall not crow until you have denied me 3 times. He called him out. He told him he was going to deny him 3 times before the morning. Now, he goes on. Right after he calls him out, looks at him and goes, "Let your heart not be troubled. You believe in God, also believe in me. My Father's house has many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you may be also, and where I go, you know the way." So, of course, Thomas, my favorite disciple, absolutely, jumps in and goes, "Lord, we do not know where you're going, and we don't know the way." And Jesus comes straight out like a boss and says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have also known my Father also. And from him on you know... If you know me, you would have known my Father also. And from now on you know him and have seen him." And Philip said to him, "Lord, show us the Father, so it's sufficient for us. Let us just know these things." And Jesus said, "Have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, 'Show us the Father'? Did you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the work. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me, or at least believe the works. For most assuredly I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he will do also, and greater works." Did you hear that? "And greater works than these he will do, because I go to my Father, and whatever you ask in my name, that I will do, and that my Father will be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it." Guys, this is what I really wanted to get across to you when we're talking about Jesus and his disciples. That's what we're talking about. If you're talking about the rapture, he tells you, I've prepared a place, and if it wasn't so, I would have told you. And he's telling us he's coming back again. Now, when that is, nobody knows. When the timing is, we'll dive into that further. But for tonight, I thought y'all might want to know the who we're talking about, and that's Jesus. Are you going to be a part of his church? Are you a part of the chosen? Are you going to be there when the rapture happens? Choice is all yours, guys. Join us next time on our Bible study all about the rapture. If you've watched this far, hit like, comment for me. Tell me what y'all think about this. Subscribe to the Mustard Seed Adventures and go check out Rants from the Looney Bin. That's where you can see all the videos in one spot, the articles that we are writing. And if you like what we're doing, hit that donate button and help us upgrade the equipment. Love you guys. Good night.